Good morning. I am Eric Adams, the Brooklyn Borough President, and I'm really excited to be here. And I really want to thank Noel. This has been a long time coming from being in Brooklyn, talking about heating-related complaints. Every year we do this dance with landlords that have a systemic approach to doing illegal cost saving or greedy measures of turning down the heat. And every time complaints are put in, then they will rush to the building, turn up the heat just long enough for the inspector to come conduct an inspection. Then the landlord would turn it down, and we were playing this cat and mouse game, and the loser of the game every year, it involved the tenants in our buildings. And so it's about the marriage between technology and using the court system in an effective and correct way. We're extremely excited about this. So I want to thank Noel, who's here from HeatSeek, who she'll speak in a little while, and Elisa of Just Fix New York City, and John is the Director of Tenant Organizing, Housing Conservationist Coordinators, and I'm sure he'll correct his correct title when he gets up to the microphone. But again, we are proud to announce City Council Intro Bill 948, which makes great strides in ensuring that our landlords are held accountable for failing to provide heat. This is not a typical January day. Typically, during this time, it's a colder period in our city, and it's even colder in the apartments of many tenants. The complaint speaks for themselves. According to the Department of Housing, Preservation and Development, we've had 232,621 complaints were filed last winter about inadequate heat and hot water. We sometimes forget about the hot water aspect of it. This is an 8.1% increase from previous year. This issue largely affects low-income communities of color. There's a clear indicator that in these communities they are not given the adequate amount of heat, and the battle was just an uphill battle of trying to get housing courts and other city agencies to come in and ensure that tenants had the right documentation to show that they were not getting heat as it's supposed to be given to our builders. And so this bill will require the Department of Housing Preservation and Development to identify 50 buildings with the highest ratio of heat violations in their units every 2 years, and install internet-capable temperature detectors in living rooms. This is an amazing device. HPD filed over 2,000 heat cases in court and collected over $1 million, $1.5 million in civil penalties related to those areas. So landlords are required by law to give heat 68 degrees during the day and 62 degrees at night between October 1st and May 31st. And far too many buildings in the city, they're not reaching these numbers, and we say enough is enough. And so this great device is going to allow us to monitor and produce a report, something that was traditionally the tenant had to document and produce a log that was difficult to prove in court. We sat down with the judges, we sat down with the court administration, and they looked over the documentation, and they stated that this is great documentation. It is going to help solve these cases in a real way. And so I've been committed to this for quite some time. As I stated, it was several years ago that HeatSeek met with us and showed us this device. I was amazed by the device, and we wanted to put it in just about all of our buildings that have substantial heat complaints. We're starting off with the 50. We believe it should go. And so our partners in this area, HeatSeek, Legal Aid Society, St. Nick's Alliance, and Brooklyn Legal Service Corporations are all part of this initiative. HeSeek is an incredible nonprofit that had won the New York City Big Apps competition in 2014. It goes to show you how by having these competitions, we can come out with great ways of improving everyday problems in the city. And we want to thank all of our partners, Councilman Member Richie Torres, who introduced the bill on the behalf of the Borough President's Office, Robbie Carnegie and Mark Levine for sponsoring the bill and working with the landlords and others to make sure that this was done in a fair way. What are we saying? We're saying we're turning up the heat on those landlords that traditionally turn down the heat on tenants in an illegal fashion. We're marrying technology with governmental agencies to document individuals who are not properly providing heat. We use city-sponsored technology through the Big Apps Award to solve an everyday problem. The music is off, no longer doing the dance of no heat in our apartments throughout the city. Great device, small device, is going to make a big impact on the lives of everyday New Yorkers. I cannot thank Big Apps HeSeek enough for this great device, and I want to turn it over to Noelle, and she will give you an overview of the entire device. Noelle?
Thank you. Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Noelle. I'm the Executive Director of HeSeek. As Borough President Adams said, we're a nonprofit. We were founded here in New York City, and we won the 2014 Big Apps competition. I want to thank Borough President Eric Adams. He has been a huge supporter of this legislation since the very beginning, probably 3 years ago now, when we came to him with this idea and showed him our sensors. He's been a huge supporter, and we are incredibly grateful to him. I also want to thank Councilmember Richie Torres for introducing this bill, for championing it through the Housing Committee, and finally to a vote. We are so grateful to him as well. I want to talk a little bit about this device and how it solves problems for everyday New Yorkers. But first, I want to talk a little bit about how folks are documenting inadequate heat in their apartments currently without this device. So, as we all know, New Yorkers are very resourceful, and so folks are, when they don't have heat in their apartment, they are often buying a $2 mercury thermometer, and then every time it feels cold in their apartment, they're going and checking the temperature, and then if it's below the limit, they're taking a photo of themselves holding the mercury thermometer, holding a newspaper that's got today's date on it, and then somehow also holding a camera. And then they're bringing those photos with them, either to show to their landlord or go to housing court and try to document and prove when it's too cold in their apartments. And unfortunately, even though New Yorkers are very resourceful, oftentimes those documentation is thrown out in housing court and it doesn't end up helping them. And New Yorkers can call 311 when they don't have heat, and they can ask for an inspector to come out and inspect their apartment. But we all know that it is unlikely that the inspector is going to show up at the exact time that the heat is below the limit, that the outdoor temperature is low enough that the building can be in violation, and that the tenant just happens to be home, right? That's a lot of factors that all have to come together in order for a tenant to get a violation. We know it's really hard for tenants to get violations. And so with this device, a temperature sensor that can fit in the palm of my hand, we can document the indoor temperature inside someone's apartment day and night all winter long and create a record of exactly what the temperature was, combine it with the outdoor temperature, calculate whether or not for every temperature reading we have, whether or not their apartment for that hour was in violation of the city's housing code. And all we have to do is plug it in, connect it to the internet, set it and forget it. So, technology's come a long way. New Yorkers are very resourceful, but they shouldn't have to be. And so because technology has come a long way, we have these sensors. We should be using them. And I'm so thrilled that the City Council and HPD have decided that, yes, we are going to use these sensors. We're going to create these clear, consistent documentation of exactly what the temperature is. So there's no guessing game. There's no cat and mouse game anymore. We'll know exactly what the temperature is inside people's apartments at all times. So what I want to say is if you're a landlord who's been skimping on heat because you don't want to pay for it, we're going to find you and we're going to see that. And if you're a landlord, even worse, who's been not providing heat in your apartments because you want to drive out your rent stabilized or your low income tenants, we're going to find you and we're going to see that. So the jig is up. There's no reason for us not to know exactly what the temperature is in everyone's apartments all the time, right? So this legislation starts with the 50 worst buildings, the buildings with the highest ratio of heat violations to apartments in the building. But my hope is that this is just a start, right? These sensors are available for everyone. Anyone can purchase a sensor and document the temperature inside their apartment. So while we are incredibly thrilled that this has passed through the City Council, we also hope that it's just the beginning. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Right. Thank you. Good job. Good job. And we're going to bring Annalisa from Just Fix New York City.
Right. Hi, everyone. My name is Annalisa. I am the program director at Fix NYC. And very similar to HeatSeek, our organization uses technology and marries housing justice and tenant rights together. So we build a suite of tools that currently allows tenants, if they're rent stabilized, to order their rent history via text message or online. We allow tenants to create letters of complaint that lists out their heat and hot water violations that they're experiencing, as well as many other issues that they're experiencing in their apartments, and it works for all types of people that live in any type of housing in New York City. We've recently released a tool that allows tenants as well, following up on the letter of complaint, to file an HP action and take it to court. And we also ensure that all of the transparency that is possible for tenants when it comes to the open data that New York City provides is available to them in a very easily and visualized and clear way. We have a product that's called Who Owns What. You can search all of our products online. We're at justfix.nyc. So our name is also our website. All of our tools are free as well, and they're accessible to anyone that has text message or any device that can have access to the internet. Our organization was founded in 2015, and since then we've served about 15,000 people across the city. We do co-design work. It's all data-driven. And again, our focus is to make sure that tenants have the tools and the resources they need to practice their rights. With HeatSeek, we've built a partnership as well, working with organizations across the city to also use some of the tools that we've produced. We've created a list of worst evictors across the city, landlords who are also responsible for kicking out some of the most vulnerable people in the city and leaving them without housing options. We've decided to target those folks as well and work with HeatSeek to install devices in these apartments. In addition to being a partner of Just Fix and a staff of Just Fix NYC, I'm also a user of HeatSeek. I had an install this summer. And what's really exciting about the HeatSeek technology is it not only works in the winter, it works in all seasons as well. Oftentimes, we go into NYCHA buildings, you go into any type of apartment, and they're not only suffering the lack of heat at winter, you're also suffering overheating in the summer. In my personal life, I'm also a huge environmental advocate, so it's really important to me as well that we're thinking about the links between technology, environment, housing, and overheating and climate change. As Borough President mentioned, this is kind of an unseasonable time in January in the city. And so HeatSeek is also coming at the intersection of all of these issues and making sure that accountability and transparency is at the forefront. For JustFix.NYC, we're really, really excited to support HeatSeek. As Noelle was mentioning, we also hope that this is just the beginning. Our technology that we create that allows tenants to build letters of complaint so they can document their issues does provide a formal documentation, but it isn't as clear and it isn't as detailed as HeatSeek. When I had my install this summer, I was able to go online. It's a very quick and easy login. You can download an Excel sheet, a PDF, a CSV, or if you just want to look at the data and you don't know those terms, you can look at it as well. And you can look at the heat, the temperature from the outside, the temperature inside of your apartment at any time of day and any time of night. which then allowed me, as a very busy working person, to not have to wake up at 11 p.m., 1 a.m., 3 a.m. to check my plastic thermometer. The device, as Noelle said, is simply there all the time, always watching, always recording. And it's super exciting. It makes it so easy. It allows people to literally sleep at night. So I'm very, very happy and very excited that this legislation is being introduced. Thank you again to all of the city agencies and city electeds that have been involved in this process. So on behalf of JustFix.NYC, we really thank HeatSeek. We thank everyone that's here today as well, promoting this incredible tool. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well said. Well said. It's like Head Club for Men. She's not only an advocate, she's a customer. You know, but good stuff. Good stuff. And we're looking to continue. And you said it so right, Annalisa. We're looking to continue to bridge technology with everyday issues that many of our communities of economically challenging areas were not able to get the assistance that they needed. I'm a firm believer you have to inspect what you expect, or it's all suspect. And HeatSeek is allowing us to do that inspection. And next, John. John, you're going to come and do your title.
Yes, sir. Okay. Thank you so much. Good morning, everybody. My name is Jonathan Furlong, and I'm the Director of Organizing at Housing Conservation Coordinators, or HCC. We are a 47-year-old community-based not-for-profit serving tenants in Hell's Kitchen, Clinton, Chelsea, and the Upper West Side. We organize tenants associations in buildings in all those communities, and we provide legal services and eviction defense. We host a monthly community kind of tenant leadership meeting every month. And every month during that meeting, we go around the room and tenant leaders and tenant association presidents from all the buildings that we're working with kind of give an update. How are things going in your building? What's happening? And without fail, during the winter months, it's all about heat and it's all about hot water. I began my career as a tenant organizer in Brooklyn many years ago, and when people would come to me and say, how can I document heat and hot water problems in my building, and I'm going to harp on a common theme here, we would give them a notebook, we would give them a pencil, and we give them 2 thermometers, one to hang outside, one to, hang inside their apartment. And again, as Noelle stated, as the Borough President stated, the onus was really on the tenants to prove that they were, lacking basic services. The technology has made a tremendous leap forward. We're so happy to be standing here with Noelle, with the Borough President. We're really thankful for the support in council from Councilmember Torres, from my own council member in Harlem, Mark Levine. We're really excited, as was mentioned with previous speakers, we're really excited that these first kind of 50 buildings are a doorway to a larger universe of buildings that are, they're suffering under these conditions. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So we're open to any questions. If you have any technical questions, Noelle is here. Any other question about Just Fix NYC? No, the device costs $120 that the landlords on the list will pay for if they're on the list of having these series of complaints. But individuals can purchase the devices outside of, if they're on the 50 Roach landlords. We know there's more than 50 in the city, and as it was indicated, as Jonathan indicated, our goal is to see it in all the apartments where we're having these heating issues, starting with NYCHA.
So my name is Annalisa. I'm the program director at JustFix.NYC. Our organization creates tools for tenants to take action to get repairs, to sue their landlord in court, to get their rent history, and to research their landlords. But apart from the work that I do with the nonprofit, I'm also a user of the HeatSeek device. HeatSeek is a nonprofit that introduced a legislation today that will mandate that landlords that have been irresponsible with heating their buildings must make repairs, must put the heat up for the tenants and get into compliance immediately, or they'll face fines. And of course, they have to be responsible for purchasing the device of HeatSeek. So our organization partners with HeatSeek formally. We make sure that tenants have the data that they need to track all the issues that is going on in their building regarding heat, so that they don't have to wake up at 11 p.m. or 1 a.m. or 3 a.m. to double check the temperature using very simple, basic, and very unclear plastic or metal thermometers. In addition to the formal work that I do with Just Fix and with with HeatSeek, I'm also a user of one of the HeatSeek device. I live in the South Bronx, and in the summer, HeatSeek installed the device in my home. It only took about maybe 10 minutes at max. Basically, we just stick it on the wall, you plug it in, and you're good to go. You set up an account, and you can access the data at any time of day from any mobile device that has internet access. You can download a PDF, you can download CSV, an Excel sheet, and basically it will compare the temperature inside the apartment as well as outside of the apartment. And for me, it made it so easy because before I was using plastic thermometers to track the temperature in my apartment. And it was meaning that I would have to literally wake up in the middle of the night to double check because that's when it was the coldest. I also would have to figure out how to get home at the peak of the day. As someone that works a lot, I'm not home that much, to be quite honest. But when I am home, I want to make sure my home is healthy. I was really concerned about the impact that the overheating was having in my home. And now that it's winter, obviously so concerned about the lack of heat in my home. So I wanted to just shout out HeatSeek. It was really great because outside of the technology and kind of housing work that I do, and just being a tenant that's living in New York City and having to deal with all these issues, I'm just a huge environmental advocate. So I'm really excited that we can also be thinking about how this type of temperature affects people's health, how it affects the health of the environment, how it affects the air. Because not only is it just against the law for landlords to be not heating apartments, it also causes health hazards for tenants too, and that will then lead to medical bills and other issues. It just becomes a huge web of problems, and so I'm really excited that HeatSeek is figuring out a way to make those problems way less complicated.
How does somebody get more information about getting HeatSeek for their apartment? Even if they don't want the landlord to pay for it, maybe they want to pay for it just to prove that the landlord is not doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Absolutely, yeah. There's a few different models that HeatSeek does. We work with HeatSeek as a nonprofit, so we actually purchase centers as a part of JustFix.NYC's program, and then we work with other nonprofits to shop them out, get them into the right buildings. We're working with organizers on the ground so that tenants can get them. So tenants, if you are working with a nonprofit organization that does organizing or even direct or legal services, you should definitely talk to them about getting in touch with HeatSeek. You can just go online, heatseek.org, and you can get all the information about that partnership. But if there are tenants that maybe are not being serviced by nonprofit organizations, or they simply just want to do it themselves, they absolutely can. The sensors are available to purchase outright. They're also available to rent on a monthly basis. So if you just want to have it for the heat season, which is October through May, you can do that. If you just want to have it for the summer season, you can also do that. It doesn't have to be a full-time commitment. JustFix.NYC has been working with the Borough President since about 2015, which is our inception. We are looking to make sure that all constituent services have the access to the technology that we provide tenants. We make it easy so they don't have to leave their homes. And the Borough President has just been a huge advocate for making sure as well that tenants have information, that he's shouting out our organization at community events, that we're being present with our community members. But I think honestly, this is probably one of the biggest and most exciting collaborations we've seen, which is the introduction of actual legislation. I think it's one thing to just offer services and provide these opportunities for tenants to take the opportunity and take advantage of them, but it's way better when we can say that we are going to support tenants first and foremost. We're not going to put the burden on them to figure this out. We're instead going to put the burden on the people that have the most resources, which are big landlords in this city. We know that for a fact. So we're really, really happy that this legislation is a part of the collaboration with the Borough President.